Welcome back to Forbidden Transformation. As most of you know, my name is Karen Holton, and I'm co-hosting from Alberta, Canada. And my co-host today is Constance Victoria Briggs from sunny California, who has kindly agreed to fill in for Chris Mathieu since he can't be here today. Thanks for being here, Constance. I sure appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Hello, everybody.
Just to remind people that might be our first-time viewers, our mission is to support and educate the people of Earth and to assist them to evolve and experience ET contact for themselves. And in this way, we help to create and participate in the new positive timeline. In future episodes, we plan to offer more about our ET experiences, have guests with common experiences and goals, more about the Quantum Health Transformation Program, and any relative news as it occurs. Today, we're holding an open discussion with you, the viewers. So please leave your comments, questions, etc. in the chat, and we will do our best to answer any questions that you might have. So Constance, I'm so glad that you could join me today. How are things in California?
Thank you. Thanks again for having me. It's very exciting to be on with you. I love your show, and I'm just so happy to be here. California is good. You know, it's sunny here today. It is a beautiful day. You know, I've been out here, and I'm from the East Coast, U.S., and I've been out here for 23 years now, and you know, I really enjoy it. But I have to tell you, Karen, I miss the snow. I miss the snow. I know you have snow there, and you know, I love the sunny weather, but yeah, I like the four seasons. So lucky you.
Well, we get a bit too much snow, you know, really off and on for 6 months out of the year. The real bitter cold, though, doesn't last. It comes in bouts of about 2 weeks at a time, and then when it's like -10 or -12, it feels like springtime because you get used to it. So before we get started, I'm wondering, Constance, if you have any announcements you'd like to share with our audience today.
Well, I would like to just tell everybody, you know, I'm a researcher, writer of cosmic topics and metaphysical topics, and I have been promoting my Moon Mysteries book. It is the encyclopedia of moon mysteries. It's all about the weird and anomalous activities coming from the moon. It talks about whether or not there are E.T.s up there, and you know, possibly who they are, experiences of astronauts that have gone, if you're into that sort of thing. So I just wanted to let people know that's out there. It's kind of a fun topic, interesting information, especially with what's going on with all the space travel. You can go to my website, of course, which is Constance Victoria Briggs, and check it out there. That's about it for announcements for me.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we'll have the links, folks, for you in the description box after I post the replay today. So you'll be able to find Constance. Also, Constance was my guest on a recent show, another show that I host called The Quantum Guide Show, episode 31. And so check out the playlist, and you can find my interview, and you can learn more about Constance and, of course, her wonderful latest book that she has available. So I have a few announcements, and I just want to say that I've had a couple complaints, not very many, from people who don't think we should be doing announcements. And they have all kinds of ideas on how we should do our show. But the truth of the matter is, this is our show, and we'll do it to the best of our ability and take your comments into consideration, but we will not be revamping the show depending on the preferences of the viewers, just to be upfront about that. The other thing is, this program, we're going to get more into it during the discussion, but this program is to assist people with their journey. And we don't have a magic wand that we can just wave and you instantly get ET contact. It's quite the process, and we do our best to bring that to everybody. But what we talk about in the announcements are basically serve two purposes. One purpose is they let you know about different resources that are available to help you on your journey. Otherwise, you might not know about them. And they change. We have the show every 2 weeks and they change. So you might be tempted to skip through them, which I totally understand if you want to do that. But if you listen to them, you're going to get all kinds of information that you would have no other way of knowing. So the other reason why we do the announcements is because it costs us money to produce shows, to have our YouTube channel. We don't pay for the channel per se, but there are all kinds of expenses that go along, and we need to cover our expenses so that we can bring this programming to you folks without cost. And so I'll just quickly go over the announcements now. So I want to remind everyone that this is still a fairly new show, so please like, subscribe, and share with your family and friends so that other people that are interested in this topic can find out about our show. And as I mentioned, today is an open discussion, so please add your questions and comments to the comment section, and we will do our best to include that in the program today. I'm very excited to tell everybody that I have a new show called Convergence, and you can join me as I go live on People for People Radio every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, which would be 3 o'clock Eastern and 8 p.m. in the UK. It's streamed out of Scotland, and you can find that at www.peopleforpeople.ning.com. Now, I will be posting replays as often as I can on YouTube, but the problem is YouTube has now started to delete my videos. And because the show Convergence deals with all kinds of different topics that are, well, some may consider those topics to be more controversial than others. And People for People Radio is censorship free. So you may or may not get to see the replay on YouTube, but I'll definitely do my best. And I want to remind everyone that if you want to book a private session with myself and Chris Mathieu, you can do that through my website. And I also offer one-on-one ET contact support and spiritual support to the many people who may have had some kind of paranormal experience. It doesn't have to be ET, it can be anything. And or even if you just want to spend some time asking myself and Chris some questions and spend some one-on-one time with us. So then we also have the support, spiritual contact. Sorry, I got mixed up there. And that's also available on my website. So you can use coupon code KNOWLEDGE10 to receive 10% off each of these services. And you can also support my work by purchasing one of my beautiful orgone generators. This one here is clear quartz that we've actually dyed it to get this particular color of blue. And you can read up just oodles of information about orgone generators from my website. We've actually stopped making them because we're finding that with the restrictions, we're having a difficult time getting supplies. But there's still quite a bit there for people who are interested. And then, as I mentioned before, all the links will be in the description below. And now I just want to remind everyone about the upcoming Forbidden Knowledge News Conference. It is 12 different presenters, including myself, and we'll be offering you information that you've never heard anywhere before. And it runs April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, 2021. So get your tickets now. This is an online conference, and it's only $29.99 for the all 3 days of the conference, for the complete conference. So that's it for announcements for today. I'm just going to check and see. Oh, we don't have anything in the chat yet, which is good because we're just about to get started anyway. So I wanted to just flesh out a little bit more about the purpose and the focus of this show. So like I said before, our goal is to help you make your own contact. And there are many, many different ways of making contact. But right now seems to be a pretty important time where they're going to come out with more disclosure. There are a lot of sightings, there are a lot of things going on. We think it's a perfect time to sharpen your focus and learn how to do contact for yourself. So we offer different guests that come on and share how they make contact. We offer suggestions. I personally believe it has a lot to do with your personal lifestyle, because we have to be able to hold the frequency in order to make contact and interact with higher beings. And so, but there's no real easy way of doing this. Like I said, we don't have a magic wand that we can just wave and boom, you have everything you need. No, we all have to work at this skill, because it is a skill. And but it's up to you to make the contact, but we will help you have all kinds of tools in your tool belt that will assist you, will make suggestions, and will offer you all kinds of things. And in our perspective, we're not dealing with nuts and bolts ET. So in my case, in Chris's case, we never had a spaceship show up and beam us up and take us out into orbit. We've never had those kind of experiences. Now, I'm not saying they don't happen. I'm sure they do, but they have never happened for us. For us, it's a very spiritual program with beings that are corporeal or non-corporeal, who actually have an interest in helping humankind to evolve, to get to the next level. And once we have, pardon the expression, our shit together here on Earth, then we have more of an option to explore beyond, in the dimensions beyond. Constance, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yes, it's my belief also that there are those who come in, who have come into this life to with the purpose and from an E2 world with the purpose of helping with this work as well. So you may have been experiencing ET contact without understanding or realizing where this was coming from. I know that in my case, I feel like I was prepped for so many years for this work, and I didn't know. I started out thinking, it was the angels, and I believe in angels, and I believe that they were there helping. But at some point, I've had someone with me the whole time, mm-hmm. And I've had a guide, and I thought, okay, it's a spirit guide. Maybe it's a relative, who crossed over. But as time has gone on, I've been fed more and more and more information. And I understood that E.T.s, from that traditional mainstream thought of what an E.T. is not that, as I'm sure you've learned from Karen. They can be with us all along to be preparing us for work, preparing us for a personal contact, and to prepare us for the contact of, I don't like the word disclosure so much, because I just see all of these little, negative, beings that I see on social media, but, preparing us for a time where we can come into that galactic community and reach further. So I guess my point to all of this is that you may have been having some contact and not even have realized that they're preparing you. And then, people like Karen and Chris are coming along to kind of, help propel you a little further, into what you're supposed to be doing, and to teaching you more, just as they have done with me.
Yeah, thank you. That was really well said. The other thing I want to add to it is that everyone has a choice. If we're terrified of ET contact, then it is going to be difficult to ever have ET contact. And I'm not saying you should or shouldn't be terrified. There are some people who've had some negative experiences. There's some Earth people get scared, startled really quite easily. But for those of you who really do want to do this kind of work, and you recognize that there's a spiritual component and it's a part of our evolution, then definitely we're here for you, definitely. So my next talking point I want to move on to is, what do we mean when we say the universe operates on a love harmonic? So just start off with what I think it means. The beings that I have been in contact with are absolutely benevolent and loving, and even non-interfering. It is not their way to even make contact with us. We need to reach out and make contact with them. And what I mean by love is it's a very powerful feeling that we feel when we're in connection with them, which is really wonderful because it really lets us know we're doing the right thing and that this is our path or our course. But love means it's an action word, and it includes things like patience and mildness and kindness and forgiveness and a whole bunch of things that are components of love, that if we adopt more of this way of being, we're going to bring basically heaven to earth, and we're going to evolve to the point where we can then have a more meaningful part of sharing this amazing reality with other beings. Constance, would you like to add to that?
Yes. I believe that they're waiting for us. They're waiting for us. This is why they're giving, all of this information on sharing on, how to be more loving. We have to operate on a certain level of frequency in order to reach them, in order to be like them. We don't want to stay stuck, in this world with the way it is. And it takes the time and it takes the effort, and love is the key. Even when you read about, I've done a lot of research in near-death experiences. For example, I know that's a whole other topic, but everywhere I've turned, it's about love. In the end, when you reach that higher pinnacle, or when you reach the other side, they're looking at how much love you showed, and almost also how much love you have inside of you. And I understand that we shine brighter over there. Our spiritual or astral body, or whatever term you use, because that really is our ET body. That what they're calling the soul on earth is really your ET body. Heaven is an ET world. And you shine brighter. And it's my understanding that they can look at you and they can see the level of love you have through the light that you shine once you're over there.
Wonderful. Yeah, I actually, we all see things a little bit differently, but I actually see near-death experiences as part of ET contact, which is part of astral projection, remote viewing, lucid dreaming. I think it's almost like we're all in a little room with a bunch of doors, and it doesn't matter what door you go out, we find that we then find ourselves outside of the box, and then we find ourselves in the same room. And so I think it's a deeply spiritual experience. And similar to you, Constance, when I started out, I was acutely aware of my guardian angel. I was then aware of other angels. Then I branched off into fairies and fairy folklore, which is the elementals. And I think it's all part of the same thing. It's outside of the construct, and the construct is what society has built to basically have us serve the elites. And so when we get outside of that, I think that we're all in the same place, and it's beautiful, and it's very loving, very, very loving.
I have found that in my work, I have had to break things down for people. Now, I'm sure your audience is more sophisticated and more knowledgeable because they have been listening. But I part of my job is for the newbies to break things down into these categories, because I can say, okay, astral projection, near-death experience, life after death, angels, and they seem to be able to process that when they're new to the information. But it really is. I too believe that it's all connected. I saw one of my experiences of seeing a ship, and it was a ship that nothing like I've ever seen before. But I was in the astral, and it was gold and bronze. It was beautiful, nothing like I've seen in, the social media books and the, things this was something different. It was just gorgeous and it was huge. And I was in the astral. I project when I'm sleeping, like we all do, but I have conscious projection. And I was on my way in, and I was cognizant of the fact that my phone might ring. I was taking a nap. And I said, oh, this is so beautiful. I wonder how many times I've been here. Don't ring, phone. I hope it, and sure enough, it rang and I was pulled back into the body.
Mhm.
But I have to tell you that it was into the astral that I had that amazing experience, which just tells you that it's all connected. That was what I refer to personally as my ET body, my soul body. And that's who we are. But we be living in this world, we have to be educated a little at a time to understand who we are and where we came from. And there are guides, ET guides, because anyone who isn't here, doesn't originate here, is an extraterrestrial. Angels are extraterrestrials. But we have advanced guides to take us in these little steps. And I saw that. I saw that glorious. I will call it a ship because it was the only other word I have for it. And I don't know if you've discussed the different kinds of ships, the mother ships, the ethereal ships, but clearly it was there and we couldn't see it with our physical eyes. But yeah, that's one of my experiences. So
Wonderful. No, we haven't gone into ships, so maybe we could also have you back as guest, and we could talk more about that. I think people would find it really interesting. I just recently found, if I think of it, I'll put the link in the description. But I found a YouTube channel where what they do is they make size comparisons, and they take all the spaceships that are from nonfiction sources that we're familiar with, like Star Wars and Star Trek and Lex, and there's so many, and they show you how big they are compared to each other. And so like the ships that I go to, they're huge, like they're bigger than North America. They're just incredibly huge. But I think
there's a word for that, city ship.
Yes, that's what it is. It's like it's like New York or London, except it's a ship. It's amazing. So I think that's a great idea. We should definitely do a show about that upcoming. So now I want to branch off a bit. We've covered this before, but I think it's important we cover it again because there are a lot of people who have a knee-jerk reaction of fear when we start talking about ET. And the propaganda has really aided in enhancing that fear. And and even a lot of the people who have had experiences with grays that we consider, more fearful experiences, they actually will admit, a lot of them, that they actually never were abused in any way. It was just the human reaction of fear to beings that are so different than us. So I guess the talking point here is, how can we tell benevolent ET from malevolent? And I'm going to let you run with this if you like, Constance.
Okay, yeah, that's one of my favorite topics, and it's been big in my life recently, as I've been, with this Moon Mysteries book. I've been on social media a lot, and I was shocked at how much negativity is out there with the idea of extraterrestrials. It's disturbing and it's annoying because that's all you see, and that's all you hear about are the grays and the abductions. When my personal experience, I went into this whole research with the idea of trying to reach advanced beings, trying to find advanced beings. I had a personal experience when I was very young, where I had seen a swirl, sort of like a swirling cloud, and someone stepped out of it. And I was not in a good position at that moment. And I think he was there to help me, and he was reaching out for me. And in my study since then, I know that there are advanced extraterrestrials that are benevolent, as we were talking about, here to help. There's plenty of them. In fact, it's my understanding that there's more good, out there than there are bad. But when we look at social media and when we look at Hollywood, And in the books, it's all negative. So people are drawing from that, and they're scared, and they're looking at all of these abduction cases, and they're scared. They're not hearing about the benevolent beings. And I think this is very important to know, that we are not alone in this universe with all of these bad beings out there. I recently posted on someone's page. He had said, "Oh, he put a picture of War of the Worlds, and he saw, Earth being destroyed. He says, could this happen?" And I said, no, this cannot happen, because we are protected. There are beings that have come forward in their channelings and said, we are not going to let you destroy all of life on Earth. We are here to stop that. We're here to help. There's tales of beings that have met with the government and said, look, we want to help. Let us help you. And I hear that sometimes the governments have said no, for whatever reason. That's another show, I guess. But they are there. They are there to help. There are stories where they've even interfered with bombs being, sent, and asteroids hitting the Earth. So there are good out there that are with us to protect us, and more information needs to be shared on that, rather than seeing the evil little grays. And by the way, I have talked to someone who have met, they said 4 different of the gray aliens, and he said some are good and some are not. So we're living in a dark and a light, but I think definitely there are more light beings than there are the dark beings.
I would agree 100%. Now, one of my favorite contacts could be considered a gray, but he's not your stereotypical gray. I call him Bob the Gray, because I couldn't in a million years even figure out what his name or how he would want to be called, because he's a very high level being, but he helps me to, he's wonderful. He somehow boosts my ability to do remote viewing and to go places. And I'm pretty sure he's the one who got me the job of being an exopolitical ambassador. So I love him dearly. I have no negative, fearful thoughts about him at all. So you're right. They're not all good and they're not all bad. But I think really the point I want to make is that it gets back to frequency. So I believe that a lot of the lower beings or low vibrational frequency beings are actually tied fairly tightly to our planet. And I've been told that there's actually a quarantine. So you've heard about the secret space program, heard about the Space Force, all of this. There is a limit to where they can go and what they can do, because there is a cap or a protection put on us, and great hope that we will all evolve and start to really take our soul evolution very, very seriously. Now, another thing I want to say about beings is we can tell right away by the way we feel, because the lower level beings don't have the technology, the energy, nothing to be able to produce that beautiful, high quality love frequency. They can't go there. So instead, they're going to work with fear, and they're going to work with anxiety, and they're going to work with all those other things. But I agree. I think they're in the minority. And I think that it's part of our test to work our way through so that we can reach the higher beings. And that's why I put so much emphasis on personal care and lifestyle. Because if our bodies are falling apart from eating garbage food, if we're a toxic wasteland because of all the different things that are in our reality and in our environment that are toxic, if we have all kinds of things like that, it's very difficult to hold and maintain the frequency. And I know I've been working really hard at this for a number of years, pretty much all my life. But I can tell when a being is beneficial. I can tell because the feeling is unmistakable. The feeling of love and acceptance, it's stronger than what we could ever get from a parent, an earthly parent. It's amazing. And so what I would encourage people to do is really learn to be in touch with your feelings. Increase your emotional literacy so you know what different sensations you're having, what those feelings are. And then you will know. And the other thing that's really important for those who are a little bit fearful still, is that this is our domain. We have a sphere around us that is our personal space where it's our sovereignty. And if anything comes into our reality that is not benefiting us, we have the right to say, hit the road, Jack. You are not welcome here, and I'm not going to listen to what you're telling me. So I just thought I kind of would bring those points out. And really, the only thing to fear is fear itself, in my opinion. What would you say about that, Constance?
Yes, I agree with that statement of, fear itself, but I also want to say that we attract things into our lives. So turn off, negative, fearful things, turn off those paranormal shows if you're listening to any negativity and the scary ghost stories. And somehow, because we're all connected, I think that the lower level energies can grab on to that fear, and like you said, and propel it and make it worse. So try to live in the light. I tell my kids, don't turn on all of those scary things on YouTube, the paranormal shows about scary beings and things. Try to limit the news that you take in, because they're not going to tell you the stories of light so much. They're going to tell you the darkness out there. So I think you can avoid, you can make yourself afraid by grabbing onto this world and letting too much of that in.
I can't watch mainstream news, and I can't watch most mainstream TV because of the amount of effort that's put into affecting us. Basically, everything on our TV is there to sell products. It's not the products support the shows support the products. And they spent millions of dollars, billions of dollars getting inside our head, and I won't put up with that. So that's another thing that brings negativity, and also the news and everything else. Now that reminds me, I want to get into the next talking point. Is many people, including Dr. Stephen Greer, who, as most of you know, is part of very strong in the CE5 movement, and CE5 is contact that's human initiated. And he's been talking about a false flag alien invasion for a long time. Now, with all the stupidity that's going here on in the planet, it wouldn't surprise me if they do an actual false flag. So how do you think we'd be able to tell the difference between whether something's an actual Earth-produced false flag, or if it was some malevolent ET activity? We don't know. Our world leaders have made all kinds of deals with some ETs who, by the way, have no business interfering in the first place. And eventually everyone, I guess, is going to get dealt with. But how do we tell the difference between what's a human false flag and what could quite possibly be a malevolent invasion? Do you have any thoughts on that, Constance? I'm just going to check the chat while you speak.
So false flag meaning, it's disguised and coming from someone else that we don't recognize.
Yeah, like basically humans faking an alien invasion.
Oh, I don't know, Karen, can you repeat the question one more time?
Sure. Okay, so I'm wondering, how would we be able to tell the difference between a human-initiated false flag where they make it look like there's an invasion from outer space, but really it's just evil human beings doing their foolishness with us? But how would we be able to tell between that or an actual legitimate malevolent invasion, which I actually don't think would happen personally? But do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I got it now. So that would be if you're living what I call the mainstream life. If you're not awake, if you're not aware of extraterrestrial beings that are helpful and loving and benevolent, if you don't even know they're out there, then you're going to be fooled. There's just no way they're going to be able to tell. We could tell, okay, because we are already a little bit educated, a lot educated in this knowledge. So we can tell where, I don't have a huge answer for you, but I'm just saying,
Okay.
because we have our hands in this all of the time, we should be able to discern. And audience members who take in this information should be able to discern whether or not they're lying. I can already see, and I'm shocked when I look at the news, just things like this whole Mars expedition. I'm seeing pictures from Mars all the time with findings, incredible findings, and it's not being reported in the news. But that's because I'm aware that they're doing it. So we should be able to tell, we know that they do this. So somehow, I don't have the best answer, Karen, I'm sorry.
No,
But
that's all good.
I know that the mainstream people, they would never be able to tell the difference. And also we know it's coming. So I would say that just to continue the studying, continue the education, can continue to try to, raise our vibration, and our eyes would be more open to it.
I agree. And actually, I would not be able to add anything to that. That would be similar to what my answer would be. And I don't really know. Some of these questions, I just thought they'd be good questions. And I may not even have the answer to myself. I don't know everything, that's for sure. But, and kind of dovetailing off of that, okay, there's a lot going on Earth today, things that we can't even talk about because this is going to go up on YouTube. And we want the show to stay so that people can watch it. So we can't really talk about it. But I think you all know what I'm talking about. There's things going all over the world today that we never would have believed possible 2 years ago if we knew this was coming. Now, what I'm wondering is if some of that's going on Earth today might have to do with malevolent E.T.s. And I'll tell you why I tell you this. Is because I have, in my own personal research, there's a man who met and got to know the tall whites quite well. And apparently, I wasn't there, but apparently the tall whites told him, we don't understand why humans are friendly towards animals and care about the planet and everything. We just go in and wipe everything out and take the resources and then we move on. So that would be an example of a malevolent ET group, right? And so I do know from my other sources that there is a certain amount of culling that will go on from time to time for various reasons. Wow. But I've also heard that there are some ETs that have come down and gone to the presidents of the countries and made personal deals with them. So I'm just curious. I don't expect you to have an answer, anyone to have an answer. If anyone wants to put a comment, that'd be great about this. I know this is kind of deep stuff today, but it was just, where I was at when I was planning the show. But I guess I get back to it. What's my question? Do we suspect that the conditions on Earth today have to do with malevolent, which is the bad kind of ETs?
Very hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't even know the answer to that. I'm just putting it out for discussion.
Yeah. So, what has occurred in the last 2 years could be just, our own mistake. It may have nothing to do with extraterrestrial trying to interfere. It just may be us, our own mistake. This is compared to the extraterrestrials ages that are out there. There are ETs that have been around for billions of years and who, that have all kinds of technology. It's my understanding this is a very young race, the human race, and it's, still prone for mistakes, and everything can't be blamed on someone else. But how do we really know? So I live with the faith that they're not going to let us wipe ourselves out. In fact, I mentioned earlier a little bit about this. There was an ET group, it's my understanding, that did go to the government and say, you have to watch it. You're doing this. You're going to wipe out humanity. You've got these weapons. We'll trade you. If you get rid of your weapons, we'll trade you this, I don't know, technology, and I understand from my research that, they were told, no, we won't give up our weapons, because, I guess that any country would have felt vulnerable. But they also said, we're not going to allow you to wipe yourselves out. So not necessarily is it outside intervention, not necessarily. It could just be mankind growing and making their own mistakes. But I don't think that they're going to let us destroy all the life on this earth. And I think that these tall rights that you're mentioning, I don't think that they would be allowed to do it. And if they wanted to do it, they would have, if they could have done it, they would have done so by now.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And I'll tell you, my intel from my contacts is, number one, that Earth is being protected, and that if things do go nuts down here, I'm saying down here, but it's all relative, that there is possibly some extraction that will go on. There are some people who will be moved to new worlds where they can start over, but it's not like we just raise our hand and go, oh yes, we want to go. And the reason is because we have so many generations of dysfunction in our programming that there's no way they're going to take that dysfunction and put it on new planets, or put it on the big ship, or put it on a city ship. That's not going to happen, because it would infect other societies. It would have a negative effect on other people. So really, it's people who have really worked on their stuff to become better people. That, like, for instance, there's no way sociopaths are going to be evacuated. That's not going to happen. But people who have, even though none of us are perfect, we all make tons of mistakes and we screw up all the time. But if there's a basic level of love in our hearts and respect for each other and openness to other kinds of beings, that is something that I think could preserve us. But I want to ask you, Constance, did you ever see those videos that came out in the 70s, which were military, and some people say it's fake. I've watched them several times. They don't look fake to me. But it's got a little being that looks like a gray, and they're being really nasty to him, and they're asking him why he's here and how come he can speak English. And he talks about that in the future, basically one of the world leaders is going to launch a nuclear strike that's going to end up destroying most of life on Earth. And he predicted that would happen basically now, 50 years. Now, I don't know if it's a scam or not. I'm just curious if you've seen it and if you know anything about that. And if you haven't, I'll text you the link and you can see it's quite interesting. But I really don't know. I really don't know. I trust actually E.T. more than I trust humans at this point.
Well, if it's a good E.T.
Yeah.
But I mean, they can be untruthful. I would imagine these lower level beings can be untruthful too. And goodness knows, I hope he's wrong. No, I did not see that video, and I would be interested in taking a look at it.
It's actually 3 really short videos, and I feel really sorry for the alien. I'm just going to call him an alien. I know there's all kinds of more appropriate terms they're using today, but I'm old school and I always just stick with the basic concepts that I grew up with. Anyway, they're pretty mean to him. And now some people say it's puppets, but in the 70s, there's no way. This is when Godzilla movies and stuff came out. There's no way we had that kind of technology back then. But anyway, I will see if I can find the links and post them also in the description below, and then I'll also send them to you. They're quite interesting. Now this is apparently an E.T. who comes from the future, who's genetically linked to us, even though he doesn't look like us anymore. He's come back from the future to tell us and to warn us. And of course, he's just being mistreated and kind of brutalized. But even if he did come from the future into our past, I still think that our future's not set. So even if that happened to him, I don't think that's necessarily going to happen.
Well, I was just thinking the same thing, that even if he had that that knowledge, that because now we are being helped by advanced beings, benevolent beings, because we are learning and being educated, that could actually, I think, change the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, and it's all, we don't know, it's all speculation, but at that point, from what he knew of Earth and humans, at that point, I guess, in our evolution, he could say it,
Mm-hmm.
but could that not change due to programs like this and getting the message out there and people working towards love and a higher way of living and growing, evolving? So yeah, I think the outcome could be changed. That's my opinion.
Oh, I agree. I agree 100%. I just want to let you know, we had a lovely little message here from Mateus. Mateus is the CEO for Pathea, and that is a platform that's specifically dedicated to exopolitics. So anyway, he just wanted you to know, he says, beautiful, loving you too. So he's enjoying the program. I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, he's a real sweetheart. So let's see, what else should we talk about? I'm pretty much out of talking points. Is there anything you want to bring up? Actually, why don't you do us a favor? Please go ahead and mention anything you want. But I'm wondering if you could also share what are some of the books that you've written, because they're extremely interesting. Like, I know you've got the Encyclopedia of Moon Mysteries, which is everything you'd ever want to know about the moon.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So basically, I've spent a good part of my life, with studying spirituality, and without understanding that I was on this path of where, I am now, and learning about extraterrestrials and knowing that there are advanced beings out there to help us. So I like I said, they had guided me, and it started with angels. I had an experience in my life that was negative, and I learned to call on angels, and I collected stories about them, and I put them in this little book, the Encyclopedia of Angels, where people could go and look up names of angels and maybe apply that information to their lives somehow. Then I said, okay, well, I'll connect this to God. Who and what is God? I wanted to know about. And so I put another book to go with the angels, the Encyclopedia of God. But when my father crossed over, I put together the Encyclopedia of the Unseen World, because he was connecting with me from the other side, and I thought people need to know about afterlife communication and should be able to learn about angels and moving into the light. It's been a journey, so those books are out there. And then as I wrote about the Encyclopedia of Moon Mysteries, because I was fascinated with some of the information I had come across with anomalies on the moon. I was not aware of that. My guides, I learned years ago, because I was having interesting memories. I have a memory of being in a light that's very strong. And when I think of this light, I just feel so peaceful and happy. But it's not a memory from this lifetime. I can't place it. And I learned in throughout the process of all this study, research, and writing, to call on my guides. And they were clearly saying things to me that alluded to the fact that is more than the angels, more to the other side even. There are others out there. And this took years. I'm giving away my age. To the fact that I said, well, I believe maybe I came from somewhere else. I think a lot of people have concluded that are doing this work. And I came across a book called From Elsewhere by Scott Mandeliker. It talked about people who were having these E.T. experiences on Earth and realizing that they were here for a mission. So that's, I'm forgetting my thought process a little bit, but that's how I got started with all of this. And yeah. So I just want to tell people that maybe, like I said before, you could be on a mission from these, advanced beings trying to propel you and educate you. And you may have something to do in your life that you never expected. You never would have known growing up that you would be talking about, or I would never have known, talking about advanced beings, extraterrestrials out there that are trying to help us. And that that I would be a part of this work. So I've got some plans for books coming out. I've got an idea for a guide for light workers and star seeds that they could connect with and maybe help them. Yeah, a lot of things in the works. And believe it or not, I forgot your original question. I've been talking so much. So
no, it's all good. I asked you to talk about your work, and that's exactly what you're doing. It's perfect. I'm going to tell you, I'm working on my book right now too for the Intergalactic Resettlement Program. And what was happening for me is that I was taken in my sleep, etherically taken in my sleep every night for about 3 months. And I was waking up in the morning and I was exhausted because I had been having all these adventures. The adventures that I had were not the same time differential that we have here on Earth. So although I was gone only at night while I slept for 3 months, I have about 3.5 years worth of experiences that I'm putting into my book. So that is weird enough. And then my brother Daniel, who is quite spiritually minded, I started telling him about it. And it was really funny what he said. He said, Karen, you are remembering the future. He says, I think you're remembering the future. And as weird as that sounds, one of my strongest psychic skills is I am very precognitive. I don't know when things are going to happen. I don't have times, but I see timelines, future timelines all the time. In fact, it was about 20 years ago, I saw myself doing what I do now, and it scared the hell out of me. I thought, oh my God, I can't do that. I can't get out in front of people and talk. I don't know anything about those things, right? And I have a very strong precog, even to the point, and some of my friends that are also, into the ascension work and stuff like that, they have the same thing where we can watch a TV show, like a movie on Netflix or something, and we know exactly what's going to happen in the next scene and the next scene and the next scene. We know what people are going to say before they say it. Life gets really exciting at that part. Once we realize that these are skills and tools that we have that we get to use, oh my God, how exciting is that?
It's wonderful.
So we could be remembering the future. I don't know. I don't. Time is also a really weird concept. It is not what we're taught it is. In the construct, we're taught that everything is like very orderly, and you've got these seconds and these minutes and these hours and these days and these weeks and months and years. But it really doesn't work like that. I think it's a lot more fluid than we're taught that it is. So
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and so my brother Dan, he just said, Karen, you're remembering the future. And that is possible. Anything is possible. All I know is that my experiences are not that common. But that's another thing I want to say. I don't think I'm extremely special in any one way that I have these experiences. I think we all have them. Just we may not be aware of them. Yes. We may not remember. And when I go, what used to happen happens less now. Actually, I have only been back to the big ship once since that original three-month experience. I've only actually been there once, and I did it through remote viewing with Bob's assistance. And that's where we gathered the information about the alien implant remedy, but that's another topic. So it's not like I go there all the time, but it's just so, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay, that's all right. Yeah, that's really amazing, but you did remind me of something in all of that. I mean, you're having just wonderful and amazing experiences, and I know everyone appreciates you sharing them. And it's helpful because you you lit up a light bulb here. Talking about leaving and going, to the ship. So basically, when we are leaving our body, and a lot of the times, people are doing it purposely, but most of us just go to sleep and we leave. We're not tied to the physical. You're having not you, but in general, you can have a whole other life, in the astral, and you're remembering your adventures, whereas a lot of people think they were dreams or they're not remembering.
Mhm.
I have the adventures, and I talk to my husband about them. He says, "Oh, lucky you! I don't remember anything. Why? What is that?" Well, I don't know, but I can come back, and there's one place that I've been visiting recently that's on the water, and it's always night. I recently saw 3 incredible extraterrestrials. I wish I could get an artist to draw them, and I've been trying to see them again, and I haven't. And they were trying to help me. I was seated, and I can still see their faces looking at me, and one running off to do something. And it was all with love. And I like to think that they were trying to help me to get through the rest of this life here, because sometimes it's a little tough. But I just want to say that we're all capable of having these adventures, and we have other lives in the astral. So, and there was one, I know I have to say this quickly. There was one experience I had when I left and I was elsewhere on a dimension or a planet. I don't know where I was, but people were in trouble. I was trying to help them, and they knew I was there temporary. They knew I was out of my body, and they knew I would be leaving. That's what they conveyed to me. I didn't want to go because they were in trouble, but I had to leave. I had to come back here. And that was very upsetting for me because I didn't know how to stay, and they knew. So there are beings out there that know that we leave and come and then return. Whereas here in our mainstream world, they're still working this out if they believe it at all.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is really wonderful. And it reminded me of what I forgot to say. Sorry, I got an itchy ear today. I keep going like that. Yeah, when I go to I went back in February of 2020. I went back. Bob helped me to have a remote viewing session so that I could go back because I missed everybody so terribly. I was definitely in an astral state. I was not physical. But as I kind of glided down the corridors, my E.T. friends looked up and sent me emotions of love and hi, and how are you, and greetings, and all of this. They knew I was there. I thought that was fantastic because they're evolved to the point where they can do that. What I was going to say earlier is I also believe, and it's even happened to me, is that our memories are suppressed. Now, what I mean by that is it's not some kind of psychic rape. I actually can pair up with 1 or 2 of these exceptional beings, and they help me to forget. And it's for a good reason, because it's very difficult to come back and sit back into our everyday life here on Earth after having those kind of experiences.
That's right.
But then I started having, my memories started coming back. Bob's helped a lot. And the reason why I'm having my memories is so that I can start telling people how they live on the big ship, the culture there, so that people can go, well, wait a minute, there's other ways of living. There's other ways of doing this. If, when we're healthier and when we're ready, we can start doing things differently. So it's not about copying exactly how these beings are politically or anything like that, but it's more that I want to keep bringing back my adventures and what I remember and what I've experienced, so that people can also be encouraged and know that's not all there is, but also start to reduce the fear. And that's another reason why we're doing this show, is to reduce the fear and help people to see that we have much more choice and power than what we're taught. We have the power to clean our realm and cast out what doesn't suit us. We have the power to bring in and enjoy the comfort from other kinds of beings. And there's just so much more. Boy, the time sure has gone fast today. So before I give my closing comments. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about, Constance? Anything else you'd like to say or add to the?
Yeah, I would just like to remind people that we really are more powerful than we know, and than we've been taught. We have it within us to grow towards that goal of being part of this loving universal community. We have it in us, and we've never been taught it before. Stay away from the negativity out there, and embrace the positive, because this is not, when this physical body ends, this is not the end of us. We have that ET, that real ET person that we are, to continue on. And while we are in the physical, we do have our ET guides trying to help us. So what we're learning here helps us here, and we're going to take it with us. This isn't all there is.
Mm-hmm.
So we're more powerful, spiritual than most people are aware of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very well said. And I totally agree with you. I think that when we have the ET mindset, like I was raised with Christian beliefs. I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I'm just saying I was raised with Christian beliefs. But once I started getting my ET mindset, I was able to go back and look at a lot of scriptures and understand them very, very differently. Like, for instance, the harvest of the wheat and the weeds are also referred to as the separation between the goats and the sheep. Well, I think we're seeing a lot of that today. I think that we also are physically an experiment with a lot of different genetics from different kinds of beings that are off-world. And now our true colors are coming through. So we're under a bit of pressure right now in the world. And so who we really are and what we're made of is really becoming really quite evident. And so I didn't want to get into religion too much. I myself am a little disappointed with many religions. I won't say which ones or anything like that, but I'm disappointed because it's almost like they want to have all the power and they want all the people coming to them as an external source of knowledge and wisdom, when I firmly believe, and based on my own experience, that wisdom and knowing is within. And serves me way better. So I mean, if you've got a religion, you're happy with it, I would never expect anyone to put that aside. But at the same time, a religion is only as good as its leaders. And if they don't know about any of this, if they've been going by tradition that's 1,000 years old and has never changed, maybe it's not as updated as it could be, for sure. But anyway, we also do not, those of us, meaning myself, Chris Mathieu, probably you other people, none of us want to start a religion. That's the last thing that our ET brothers and sisters want us to do. This is no cult. You can't sign up. You can't pay your way in. Your money is no good here. And then getting back to the Bible, I wanted to say there's a scripture that says that we should store up for ourselves the treasures that we can take with us, not store up the treasures that are eaten by moths and go rusty. And so everyone is busy trying to make money and trying to have a big boat and trying to have this and that. But instead, if you spend time becoming a better or a more refined human being, we get to take all of that with us. And then from another perspective, the reincarnation perspective, oh goody, I don't want to come back and do this shit over again.
Absolutely. I say I don't want to come back either. And I do encourage people to study all they can, because you do take it with, study the positive, learn about, this world, because, you may not return again. There are other worlds to get the experience. The ET body, or the soul body, takes it all with you. I've seen a number of people pass away. You don't take anything, but that body will take the knowledge, that consciousness will continue, and you'll be more well-rounded even over there. I know that's complicated and deep for people to think about. They want to get to the next day, and I'm talking about moving. I'm personally spending as much time as I can in study, so that I can take as much as I can away from here to add to me spiritually. in my journey on after this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's about the best we can do, you know, and I'm so happy that I don't have to be perfect. Besides, what does that even mean? Everybody's got their own interpretation of perfection, but I can just be me and make the mistakes I make and learn and just keep going. So, Constance, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. Thank you
Thanks
for
for having
short notice coming in and co-hosting with me. You've really added to the discussion. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
everybody is going to really love this episode. And just before I close off, I have a few reminders for people. This show is bi-weekly, which means it's every 2 weeks. And it's always on a Sunday at noon Pacific, 1 o'clock Mountain, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern time on this YouTube channel. I encourage you to check out the consultation and support services that Chris and I offer from my website, which is www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. I'm a different kind of health coach. I work with energy, and because I boil everything down to energy, for me, it just makes more sense and it's much easier for me to coach people. And we now have a Forbidden Transformation Facebook group, which offers private peer-to-peer support. And if you would like, just send us a message on Facebook and request, say you want to join, and we'll let you in. And we're also always looking for moderators because we don't want trolls. Unfortunately, a lot of the ET type groups on Facebook seem to have oodles of trolls and people that are waiting just to come in and try to convert us to this religion or that religion. And we don't want to have any of that in our group. And so far, we've been really good. We haven't had any of that so far. I'd also like to thank everyone for your emails. I'll continue to do my best to respond. And if you would like to contact us, and if you have any questions or material that you'd like us to cover on the show, our email address is forbiddentransformation@gmail.com. So our next show is episode 15, and it'll be another interactive show. And we're going to have a website tour from Susan Blocker. Susan was supposed to be on the last show, and then they had a huge power outage due to storms and all kinds of things. So she's going to come back and show us her website. And she is a lifetime researcher. And she's got everything that you could ever imagine that's outside of the box. She's covered it. And so we're going to go through that, and she's going to just give us a tour and let us know what she has available. And Susan herself is also an experiencer. Her people are from the sun, which is really cool because my experience is not within the solar system or even our star cluster, but hers is right from within the solar system. So that's really great. So I know you'll be looking forward to coming and joining us next time. And as I mentioned, all the links will be in the description below. And again, thank you very much, Constance. And everybody, please check out her books and her website. And until next time, Constance and I wish you much light, love, and happiness. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.